And looks like we are on. And so, hello. Um, Finally I got this thing working. I was actually gonna start doing this last week, and then like for some reason my recording software was actually not working with my webcam, which was all kinds of frustrating. Anyway, um, this is sort of like a challenge, I suppose, but basically right now, or at least when you're watching this video, it is 7 days to go until my thesis is due. My thesis is due on Friday, October the 10th at 2 o'clock, and yeah, I've been steadily working on it, and but the other catch is that, I've mostly been staying at home for the past week working on it, which has made me pretty miserable because I don't get to talk to people. Anyway, but in terms of just making videos sort of thing as well, I just want to keep doing this vlogging thing. What I thought I would do is that I would do a vlog for each of the 7 days leading up until my thesis is finished, and until my thesis is headed in, and I just wanted to talk on like one central topic for each of these days. I actually hope I have enough topics to talk about, and but I haven't actually planned out that far yet. I just know that okay, I'm probably gonna do a series. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. But as you can probably see in the title already, so today's topic is the supervisor fear is real, and to be honest, like at first I didn't really believe it to begin with, because it was like, those of you familiar with PhD comics, and then of course I had a couple of friends who are doing who like when I was still studying my undergrad, I have friends doing masters or honors or research, that sort of thing, and yeah, there was one of them who always told me about like about how she would just try to dodge the supervisors meeting every week, because like basically because she had done no progress in her research, and at first, I just, like, when I started working on the research, I was like, so far maybe I seem to have it easy, and then it was like just within these last few months I've actually really understood the feeling of being scared of your supervisor, and it's when I think about it now, I'm talking about it, it's so hilarious. It's just like the most irrational thing ever, and it's hilarious to think about. So basically my situation is that I don't just have the one supervisor that's at uni. I also have another set of supervisors which are from, for now I would describe as like a very, very important company. So they're like an important bunch of people, and so it in my mind is sort of like I'll just switch to seeing sort of something like that, except that it's just not just one person, it's like multiple people, and they're all in the dark, and they're just like, we will be watching you, and it's so oh my god, so it was like, okay, I'll because the other set of supervisors were the one who were pretty much presenting the problem for my research. So, I thought, okay, well, you're giving me the problem, I'm gonna work on it for my research, and yeah, that seemed to be pretty much about it. And so it was like, what happened was that when I really truly felt that fear was that I got an email from those supervisors asking me, how were things going with the thesis, that sort of thing. It's just except they did it a little more formally, because they're very important people. So when so the email turned out to be all formal and stuff. It was like, Matt, could you please provide a brief report stating the following, yada yada yada, what have you done, conclusions, results, etc, etc, etc. And that morning I received the email. I was just so freaked out. I was internally frozen, and it took me 1 hour, one freaking hour, to just write out something. Well, just to write out the whole email, and I was like, at the end, I was like, well, I'm just writing all this off the top of my head, and when it took me an hour to write, because that's because of anxiety. But it was like, I totally understand you guys now. I totally understand what it's like to be fearful of your supervisors, and Yeah, it sounds irrational, but it's I imagine it's something that every research student goes through at some point, unless the like extremely lucky people. But I suppose naturally with my tendency to think, I ended up asking myself why, and I guess I um I guess for me, sort of like, or maybe for people in general, it's sort of like, we see these supervisors as senior people that we sort of like want to respect, and or like, it's like a boss. We got to do things for them. We got to show stuff to them, and but at the same time, they're also like a mentor figure that we come to for advice. And I guess one thing with the weekly meetings was that was like, um, while I can emphasize with like people wanting to dodge the weekly meetings because they hadn't done any research, for me it was more of a motivator to say, okay, you should probably get something done. And even though because like my weekly meetings were on Wednesday, and sometimes I was just rushing things on on the night before on Tuesday evenings, and just so that I would actually have something to show. But and even though like it was obvious, like I haven't actually did like really thought about it, put it in depth and done like an in depth amount of work. It was just it just meant that I had to do something. I had to show progress, and for me that was something I felt like I could do. And I suppose I'm also excuse me. I suppose what was it? I wanted to say something about like part of it is like, well, I mean, look, I mean, like everyone has different supervisors, and supervisors can be different people, and I not that I'm trying to compare myself to other people. I feel like I've gotten a pretty good supervisor in the sense that not only does he actually know his stuff, he's also pretty chill, but I found that I can sort of just open up to him about sort of like life, not so much life problems. It's more like perspectives, life perspectives. And for those of you who routinely read my blog, who will generally know that I tend to write a lot about like my own personal perspective of life, how it's changing, what's happening, and how I'm thinking about things. And so it was just nice to actually bounce these things off my supervisor without getting it too personal. And I feel like and for me that was really key in just really getting along with my supervisor, and for me not to see him as a scary figure. The other thing that's actually worth touching on is that it's also made me realize how impersonal we can sound in emails. And yeah, it's kind of funny because it's and I never actually thought I'd be feeling this because it was more like, okay, I'm gonna say an email, I'm gonna say, hey, yada yada yada. Maybe for our next meeting, we could talk about so and so, and when my supervisor will reply, something it just sounded very impersonal, and I would just feel this little like strike of fear that's just like, well, he probably hates me now, and but it's um, but it's like every time that feeling is happening, I just had to push it aside because it's like ultimately, when I swing by his office, he always says smile, he says come in, sit down, and he's always been very friendly, and like he's just never given me any reason to be scared of him. And so I mean, yeah, it's kind of confusing because at the same, now that I understand people's fear of supervisors, but at the same time, I'm understanding that maybe some of these fears actually in my head and how I perceive people, and yeah, so but pretty much for that, I guess the other reason I felt so much fear with my other set of supervisors was that because I wasn't really so much in regular contact with them, so it was like I really didn't really get to know them so much as people, and they just, and of course like some like two of these set of other supervisors are older people, and one of them is actually, well, one of them is actually, he was actually well, he did his PhD at the same university I was, so like he is more approachable, but the other two supervisors are they're actually much older people. I will put it like say in the 50s. I'm bad at judging ages. But yeah, so they're older enough to be like in the previous generation, such that they're a little more all business. They're not like me. It's like oh hey, maybe we'll do something, and so I guess that's probably why it's easy enough to feel for me to feel the fear, because it's like they're older they seem older enough for me to see them as like an authority figure that I had to do something for. Otherwise there will be serious bad evil repercussions if we don't do enough research. And as if it wasn't bad enough already, it just feels like I haven't actually done enough research. And then it's like it comes back to this: you have failed in your duty. We shall submit you to something, 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 something. But yeah, this just consider my imagination a little frivolous, so to speak. Anyway, yeah, so I'm hoping to do this for the next 7 days, and just to hopefully talk about a different topic related to research, or just. But ultimately, the main point is that I want to get into vlogging, and this is just one excuse, one way to do it. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I won't be lazy and get a vlog out tomorrow as well.